Can Dusty Baker right the ship? What will the Astros do with Carlos Correa? And will Kyle Tucker finally put it all together? Let's find out. What is going on, guys? This is Wade here with Tongues Cat Gaming and Sports, and we are back with podcast episode number 5. Yes, we are already up to number 5 of the of this new series, and I am enjoying it so much. Hope you are. If you are, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you share this. Let more people know all this sports information. That way they're not missing out. And also make sure you comment down below of other shows that you'd like to see, other topics you want to have discussed. Anything, let me know. Just put in the comments. I'd love to chat with you all and see what you think. And today, we'll be diving into the Houston Astros. But first, big announcement. Basketball is back. For like 80% sure basketball is coming back. So, if you don't know, the NBA will be returning. It's imminent. However, with only 22 teams. So, what does that mean? What's all this going on? Where is it being played? All that stuff. Let's see. So, the NBA's Board of Governors approved a plan on Thursday that would restart the season in Orlando using a 22-team format. However, the new plan would see 13 Western Conference teams and only 9 Eastern Conference teams, and they would play 8 seeding games to determine seeds in the playoffs. So I am a Rockets fan, and the Rockets are 8.5 games ahead of the 8th seed, so no matter what, they have clinched the playoffs as long as this continues to keep being approved. So the Rockets have clinched the playoffs, and they will just play to see whether they're going to finish as seed 6 where they are now, or seed 4 or seed 7. So that's all it's doing. But there's going to be 13 Western Conference teams fighting for 8 spots, and only 9 Eastern Conference teams fighting for 8 spots. Afterwards, the 7 teams in each conference with the best combined records with both regular season games and seeding games would qualify their playoffs. And the final 2 teams would play for the 8th seed, which is pretty cool. Let's see. So the 22 teams participating so far, not so far, are the only participating teams are the Milwaukee Bucks, the Raptors, the Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers, Philadelphia 76ers, Brooklyn Nets, Orlando Magic, and the Washington Wizards. For your West, you have Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers, Denver Nuggets, Utah Jazz, Oklahoma City Thunder, Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, Memphis Grizzlies, Portland Trailblazers, New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs, and the Phoenix Suns. The restart would tentatively begin on July 31st, the NBA stated, with the NBA Finals ending no later than October 12th. Then the NBA draft is scheduled to be on October 15th, and the 2020-2021 season will begin on December 1st. So all of this is still dependent, though, on an agreement with Disney to use Walt Disney World Resort near Orlando, Florida as a single site for all the games, practices, housing, everything else in between. So hopefully this will get approved and we can have basketball back July 31st, as we are dying for some type of sports. The only sports that are going on right now are NASCAR, if you're a fan of it, and I think women's soccer. We're supposed to be having hockey be coming around. And then, of course, the football season, nothing really has changed with them. And they don't play until September anyways. But it's still looking like we're going to get a full season ahead of football. However, baseball, on the other hand, not looking too pretty right there. As there was last week when I recorded for Sunday, it looked like something might be becoming. However, now this week, it's just been bad for baseball. The players put in for a 114-game season. The owners flat out refused that. Now the owners put in for a 50-game season. So it's not looking real well that we might even have baseball. But this is a week-to-week thing, of course. So let's kick it off with an in-depth look at the Houston Astros. Starting off with the manager, Dusty Baker. So Dusty Baker, he was drafted by the Braves in the 1967 MLB draft. He's a 3 times Manager of the Year award winner, and he signed a 1-year deal with the Astros, and he has a club option for the 2021 season. So before we get any further, I don't really know what is going to happen with everyone's contracts if there's no baseball. So I just want to point that out. If there's no baseball, I have no idea what's going to happen with all these players' contracts. This is just a normal, basic overview if the season was a normal season. So just heads up. So moving on to Mr. Dusty Baker. Dusty played with the Atlanta Braves for 8 seasons and then the Los Angeles Dodgers for another 8 seasons before wrapping up his career with the Giants and the Oakland Athletics. He even got to play with Hank Aaron while he was on the Braves. Dusty put together a solid career as a player as he finished with a .271 batting average, 242 home runs, 1,013 RBIs. He also won the 1981 World Series with the Dodgers as well, which I'm pretty sure is the last World Series the Dodgers have won, I think. Baker has had a long, successful career as a manager as well. His managing began in 1993 with the San Francisco Giants, who in 2002, his final year with them, he did guide them to the World Series, but unfortunately they did lose to the New York Yankees, I believe. He then went on to coach the Cubs for 4 years. The Reds, who I remember Dusty Baker as, and whenever someone brings up his name, I always picture him chilling with a little toothpick in his mouth with the Reds ball cap on, hanging over the little guardrail. And then he went on to coach the Washington Nationals for 2 more years in 2016 and 2017. He has managed an outstanding 3,500 games, putting together a 53% win-loss percentage. And he is exactly what the Astros need to help guide them out of these treacherous waters that they are in. I was extremely, extremely happy to find out that we were able to reach a deal with Dusty Baker. And I really, really hope we play baseball this year so that so many other fans can see just the wisdom and knowledge that he brings to the table. I mean, Dusty Baker, if you go back to whenever he was drafted in, 1967, he's been a part of baseball since, even before 1967, but professional baseball for, what are we in 2020? Like 60-something years? I mean, this man has been playing baseball, and he knows the game in and out. He knows how to follow the rules, stealing signs there. He is the perfect leader that this young Astros team needs, because they are young. Aside from Michael Brantley and I guess George Springer now, offensively, they're a bunch of 3, 4, 5-year guys. Carlos, Alex, Altuve, all those guys. Those guys are young, so they need strong leadership. Not saying AJ Hinch didn't give that to him, but Dusty Baker has been around 20, 30 more years than AJ Hinch has, and he has just more leadership capability, I believe. So I really hope we play this year. I really respect Dusty Baker. I'm glad he's got 1, 2 more opportunities to win a World Series as a manager, as he's already won it with the Dodgers, of course, as a player. So moving on to our catching position, that is going to be held down by Mr. Martin Maldonado. So Martin, he was drafted by the Angels in the 27th round in 2004. However, he didn't make his major league debut until 2011, and that was with the Milwaukee Brewers. He signed a 2-year, $7 million contract through 2021 to be a part of the Houston Astros. Martin, he spent his first 6 seasons with the Brewers, And then the Angels before becoming over with the Houston Astros, with whom we have traded for twice to provide depth at the position. So we finally won't have to trade for Martin Maldonado this upcoming season, as he was with us in 2018 and 2019. He is being looked upon to be the primary starter and split time with Dustin Garneau, who we signed to a minimum league deal. Don't expect much from Dustin Garneau. Martin Maldonado, he'll probably catch over 60-65% of the games. He will not wow you with the bat, as he has just a career .220 batting average, but he does an excellent job framing pitches, and when you have as much offensive firepower as the Astros do, you can allow for a little less production in one or two positions. And that is definitely the weakest spot of the Astros, in my opinion, is obviously that catcher position. And that is the case with most teams, as a .250 batting average in baseball is subpar. Most people consider that average. For me, I consider it subpar. To me, a good batting average, or an average batting average, I'd like to see around .270. But most people, it's .250. If the Astros were able to get just a .250 batting average out of a catcher spot, who knows how dangerous this team could be. And that's any team in general. If you get .250 batting average out of a catcher spot for any team, that is outstanding. That would be terrific. That's just to give y'all an idea of how catchers produce in the majors. Guys like Buster Posey, who hit .300, only come in the majors once every 10, 15, 20 years. JT Realmuto, who everyone loves, and there were so many reports about the Astros trading for him, not even he hits .300. He is a .270 hitter. .270. Brian McCann, who the Astros had a couple years back, if he got .240, that was great. So just to show you just how tough, just for some reason, catchers just do not produce offensively. But as long as they frame and they do a great job of locating pitches and calming the pitcher down and knowing what pitch to throw and where to throw it, you've got a good one. You've got a good one. So moving on to our first baseman, that is going to be none other than Yulieski Gurriel. He is also a utility man, as he has played third base and second base and left field, I think. I don't think he's played center or right field, but I'm pretty sure left field. He signed a 5-year, $47 million contract in 2016 coming out of Cuba. He becomes arbitration eligible after this season, and after this slide I'll get into what arbitration means for those of you who don't know. And his nickname is La Piña, or the pineapple if you don't speak Spanish. So before we dive into Yuli Gurriel's stats, let's go over what arbitration means and why he has it, even though he is 35 years old. So when Gurriel signed his contract, he was coming out of Cuba, and that made him a rookie for Major League purposes. Rookie deals are 6 years long, and after 3 seasons, you become eligible for arbitration. This way, you can be fairly compensated if you start doing great. A lot of times, you'll see with rookies that are first or second rounders, they'll come up to the gate and they'll just start improving great, but they're only going to make $1 million, $2 million. So the MLB implemented the arbitration eligibility. That way, if a rookie is starting to do that, he can at least get compensated. Now he'll make $10 million this year instead of only $2 million. So it's a very, very smart deal. However, for arbitration to work, you have to present a number you think you are owed, and the team will also present that number that they think you are owed. You have a set date to come to an agreement. If not, you will then be sent before a judge in a hearing, and he will determine if the team will pay you what you think you owe, or if the team will pay you what they think you will be owed. A lot of times, this is only arguing over $500,000, $750,000, maybe a million here or there. Not really do you see it, I think I should make 20 and they think they should make 15. And also a lot of times, teams, they usually come to agreement anyways. Another way that teams can get out of arbitration as if they sign you to an extension just in general. So a couple years back, I think Ronald Acuna, this happened with him. He signs I don't want to give you exact stats, but I know Ronald Acuna, and I think, and also Scott Kingery, they both signed extensions even though they could have been arbitration eligible. This kind of protects them too. So they sign an 8-year, $20 million contract or an 8-year, $40 million contract just in case they don't really succeed in the majors. So now on to Yuli Gurriel's stats. Yuli has been one of the more underrated Astros in my opinion, but that's pretty easy whenever you have to play with George Springer, Jose Altuve, Justin Verlander. It's pretty easy to kind of fly under the radar. So Yuli has averaged together a .293 batting average with 23 home runs. He exploded to 31 last year. And 99 RBIs. He is also a doubles machine as he has averaged 44 the past 3 or 4 years. He also doesn't strike out much as he has never exceeded more than 65 strikeouts. And like I said, he can practically play all over the diamond. Look to see Yuli used more as a utility man as the Astros want to begin getting some of their top prospects opportunities to show their stuff. Moving on to second baseman and fan favorite, Jose Altuve. He was the MVP for the 2017 MLB season. He signed a 7-year, $163 million contract after the 2017 offseason, and he's only 1,500 hits away from 3,000. He's actually less than 1,500, like 1,420 something, but that's besides the point. So Jose Altuve, this guy is the heart of the Houston Astros through his motor, his work ethic, his leadership. Everything he does, he is right in the middle of the pack showing off his stuff. The Astros look to him to jumpstart an inning, look to bring in that winning run. They look at him to provide every little thing they need to take them to the next level. From 2014 to 2017, Jose was one of the best as he averaged, listen to this, he averaged a .330 batting average, 210 hits, 40 doubles, and 30 stolen bases. He also improved each year from 2014 to 2017. He improved from 7 home runs to 15 home runs to 24 and 24 home runs. I could go on and on and on about how great, how exciting Altuve is to watch, but most of y'all already know that. He had a down year as he had an injury that limited him to only 124 games last year. But in those 124 games, he hit .298. He only had 6 steals, but he swatted 31 home runs, which was a career high. He knocked in 74 runs and scored 89 times. So much for a down year, huh? A lot of people would love to have a down year as their career year. Jose is well on his way to having a Hall of Fame career. However, with the cheating allegations and the scandal placed against him, he will probably need to win 1 or 2 more World Series, assuming he keeps up with being one of the best in the game. Let's just say, for instance, Altuve keeps doing what he's doing, but he only wins that 1 World Series in 2017. I still think he'll be able to get into the Hall of Fame, but he probably won't be a first or second, maybe even third year ballot guy. It'll probably take multiple times. But hopefully that won't matter. I do think the Astros will be able to win another World Series within the next 5 years. So hopefully we don't have to worry about any of this mumbo jumbo. I love Altuve, and I cannot wait to see just how great, just what he will accomplish throughout the rest of his career. So let's move on to shortstop Carlos Correa. He was drafted first overall in the 2012 MLB draft. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2015. However, he only played in 75 games last year. So Carlos can become a free agent following the 2022 season. And he will really, really need to focus in these next few seasons if he wants to get a mammoth payday. Now, baseball, they already give out huge contracts in general, but I'm talking contract as in 200, 150, maybe even $300 million contract. If he wants one of those, he is going to have to stay healthy. Carlos has been injury bitten beginning the 2017 season, as he hasn't played in more than 110 games, and he even broke his rib last year getting a massage. This, when this report came out last year, and I actually had Carlos Correa on my fantasy team. When this report came out last year that he was going on the DL for, I think it was minimum 15 games. It ended up being way more than that, obviously, but minimum 15 games because of a broken rib that he suffered during a massage. I was just dumbfounded. I couldn't believe it. Really? What is that masseuse doing to you to where she is breaking your rib, man? It was just one of those moments where you just shake your head. I believe we are still waiting on a true breakout season from him, as he's shown flashes, but he hasn't been consistent enough. As he's averaged 277, 30 home runs, and 110 RBIs, which is fantastic, but I'm really, really waiting for him to increase that batting average to 295, 300, 310, because I think he can be that type of hitter. And if Carlos Correa is able to get to a 300 batting average, he will for sure be one of the best in the game. Absolutely getting 30 home runs and knocking in 100 guys, no problem whatsoever. I think 2016 he even finished in one of the top of the MVP placements, as well as that was actually his last season. He played 150 something games. He's one of the best defenders, but what good is being a defender if you can't stay on the field? So I'm about to go crazy for y'all real quick. So just get y'all's attention right now. I'm about to go crazy on y'all. This is why I think they should transition him to first base. Yes, move Carlos Correa from shortstop to first base. He is less likely to get injured, and first base is a pretty easy position to learn. We move Bregman to shortstop, and then we moved Yuli Gurriel to third base. Bregman was at LSU as a shortstop, and he's played at shortstop whenever Correa's been injured. Gurriel has played third base. He was actually a second baseman in Cuba, but he has third base. He's done a good job playing there. Will it work? Maybe. I don't know. But Correa has to be healthy if the Astros want to compete. Another crazy idea. Now this one is going to hurt, but the Astros do need to consider this option. They may need to trade Correa in a blockbuster deal for a starting pitcher. I know I said it. I don't want to see Carlos Correa leave. I love him. I like him a lot. I've drafted him multiple times in fantasy baseball. I picked him up his rookie year, watched him succeed. He is exciting, but we can't give out a huge contract to this guy if he can't play any games. And as you'll see later in this podcast, the Astros have big decisions when it comes to starting pitching. So trading Correa for a young starting pitcher who's 25 and maybe has 4 years left, or 27 and has 3 years left on his deal, we might have to look at doing that if Correa can't stay healthy. But hopefully that won't happen. And let's move on to third baseman Alex Bregman. Alex was drafted second overall in the 2015 MLB draft. He signed a 5-year, $100 million contract extension through the 2024 season. So this is what was able to get him out of arbitration. He signed this contract, they bought out his arbitration years, and now we don't have to worry about him going through arbitration. So he signed through 2024, and he was second place in the MVP voting last year. So Alex Bregman, he struggled his first 30-some at-bats as a rookie with the Astros, and I was even at one of his first games one of his last games before he broke out, and we were playing the Texas Rangers, and all 3 of his hits were fly balls. Not pop-ups to first base, not pop-ups to short center field. These were flyouts on the warning track. You could tell that he was very, very close to getting it together. And then AJ Hinch, he moved him from batting 7th and 6th, moved him up to the number 2 hole, and Alex Bregman has took off ever since. He had a solid 2017 and 2018 season as he improved in each category, but in 2019 he put it all together. Bregman exploded last year to a 296 batting average, 41 home runs, 112 RBIs, and 122 runs scored. There was a ton of controversy from Astro fans and everyone else because Mike Trout won the MVP last year, but Mike Trout didn't play 160 games. Mike Trout didn't play 150 games. Mike Trout didn't even play 140 games, and he still won MVP, which was a little upsetting as an Astro fan because Bregman did so good and played every game he could play, and even played multiple positions because of all the injuries we had with Correa. So it was a little upsetting to not see Bregman get rewarded for that. But I do think Bregman will eventually, he probably will eventually win an MVP. He has that capability. He has that swagger. He's got that bat. He has that background to do that. So the cheating scandal, though, hasn't helped him much, though, as most people now either hate him or love him. I, obviously being an Astro fan, fall on the side of loving him, but that's not just because I'm an Astro fan. It's just because of what he is as a player, what he does community-wise. He's funny, he's compassionate, he brings new kid swagger that baseball needs back. Baseball is all uptight. You need to walk this way. You need to do this. You need to do that. He just wants to have fun. That's all it is. You're playing a game. You're making millions of dollars. You're good at what you do. Why not have fun for it? And as y'all can see, my light actually died. So I am sorry about that. I apologize. But Alex Bregman, he is great at what he does. So why not enjoy it while it lasts? Because not many people can. Moving on to left fielder Michael Brantley. Drafted by the Brewers in the 7th round of the 2005 MLB draft. He was traded in 2008 to the Cleveland Indians, with whom he played for professionally, following the 2018 season. And he signed a 2-year, $32 million contract, and he becomes a free agent this offseason. So Michael Brantley, I was so excited to find out we signed Brantley for the 2019 season because I knew we were going to get a veteran who will fill right into the middle of the lineup and hit for high average. But he did even better than I could have imagined in his first year with the Astros. With the Indians, Brantley did great. He averaged .290 with 15 home runs, 83 RBIs, and 85 runs scored. But his first year with the Astros, he did even better as he hit .311 with 22 home runs, which was a career high, 90 RBIs, which was the second most he's ever had, and 88 runs scored, which was the second most he's ever had. So Brantley really exploded with the Astros. The only thing that he had a down year in was stolen bases, as he only had 3 stolen bases, which, the Astros do not steal as much at all. They're not a very stealing team. He just turned 33 this year, and hopefully the Astros will re-sign him to another 2 or 3 year deal, as he has absolutely earned a permanent spot in this Astros lineup and a permanent position to be an Astro. He did a great job. He is fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what he does this year for his second stint. Moving on to center fielder George Springer. George was drafted 11th overall in the 2011 MLB season. He was the World Series MVP in 2017, but he becomes a free agent next year. So George has been one of the most frustrating and most fun Astros to watch, though, as he would have great highs and extreme lows. We were always waiting for him to put together a complete season, I felt like. In 2017, he hit .283 with 34 home runs. We were all pumped up, ready for another great season. I was ecstatic. This guy, he's finally got it. He is finally going to do it. And then he underwhelmed to a .265 batting average and 22 home runs. And then, once again, we all got all sad and unfortunate and, well, maybe he's not the guy we thought he was. And then last year, he did outstanding with a .292 batting average, 39 home runs, and 96 RBIs. These were all career highs. But he only played in 122 games. Imagine what he could have done with 160 games under his belt. That is what has been George Springer's outcast, is what could have been. What if he? I think he will put together one of these years, but will he be an Astro? I don't know. He has been all over the place, and this is one reason he hasn't gotten a 4 or 5 year extension to stay with the Astros. It is imperative that Springer shows he can stay healthy, as he has a lot riding on this year. This isn't just for him to stay an Astro. This is for him to get a huge contract with any team in general. As much as I would love to see him stay with the Astros, I'm unsure of just how much they can / will commit to him. He was a huge reason we won the 2017 World Series, and he brings so much energy to the team. It would be a huge blow to see him go. Moving on to our right fielder, that is going to be none other than Josh Reddick. Reddick was drafted 17th round by the Red Sox in the 2006 MLB draft. He spent 5 seasons with the Oakland Athletics, and then he becomes a free agent this offseason. So Josh Reddick, he signed a 4-year, $52 million contract, and he's been good enough to justify that signing. I don't think we will re-sign him, though, following him this offseason, and I believe he would actually be a prime candidate to be traded during this baseball season. So if we had a normal baseball season, I could see him being traded if Kyle Tucker had started to slowly put things together. I believe the only reason Reddick is still around is because of that reason. We have not had a young right fielder come and step up to the spot and replace him. With the Astros, Reddick he's been a little all over. His first year he hit .315. His second year he hit .240. Last year he hit .279. So he's had good highs. He's had good bad lows. But he's been a .279 batting average. He's got 15 home runs and 60 RBIs, which is what he's put together for us, which is extremely good, batting out of the 8th and 7th, 6th hole. So he's done a good job. But he also has great defense. He's a very good defender. Very, very good defender. He has been a great outfielder to fill the void of right field, as we have been waiting on Kyle Tucker to emerge and command the position. Will that be this year? Will Kyle Tucker finally take over, or Yordan Alvarez, or will there be someone else take over? I'm unsure, but I feel pretty confident that Reddick will not be back next year, unless he signs maybe a 1-year deal just to stick around, 2-year deal just to stick around. Moving on to our designated hitter, that is going to be none other than Yordan Alvarez. So he was signed by the Dodgers as an amateur free agent in 2016. He won Rookie of the Year with the Astros, and he is arbitration eligible in 2023 and won't become a free agent until the 2026 season. So if you don't know about Yordan Alvarez, the reason he's on the Astros is because the Astros and the Dodgers had one of the most lopsided deals in history. Just 2 months after the Dodgers signed him in 2016, he was traded to the Astros for relief pitcher Josh Fields. Josh, he did fine with the Dodgers, but after seeing what Alvarez did with the Astros his rookie year, It doesn't look good at all. In just 82 games, Jordan hit .313, smashed 27 home runs, 26 doubles, to go along with 78 RBIs. He almost had an RBI a game. He also didn't look completely lost at the plate either, as he did strike out 94 times though, but he walked 52 times. So anytime you can get a 1 to 2 walk to strikeout ratio, that is excellent. That is really the goal to if you're as a baseball player. Obviously you want to walk more than strike out, but if you are going to strike out, let it be 1 to 2. He is a liability defensively, but if we can slowly bring him along as a first baseman or even a decent enough left fielder, that would help him out a ton too. I'm ecstatic to see what he can do his second season with the Astros, but more importantly, what he is able to accomplish when he gets 162 games under his belt, as we will not be getting that this year, unfortunately. Moving on to a couple bench players the Astros have. Dustin Garneau, I mentioned him earlier in the pod. He is signed as the backup catcher. I don't expect much from him, and I actually wasn't sure if he would have survived spring training cuts anyways in general. He is really just to provide depth, like I said, to Martin Maldonado, as I really expect Martin to catch. Was expecting Martin to catch at least 100 games, 110 games, hands down. Aledmus Diaz, he was brought on to be a utility guy, and he did a great job last year filling that role. He's still on a rookie deal, and he actually won't become a free agent until 2023. Abraham Toro, he's another utility man who mainly can play first and third base, as Aledmus is more of an infield guy, second and shortstop. Abraham, he got just a taste of action last year. He will continue to be brought up and down based on the team's needs from series to series and month to month. Miles Straw, he is one of, if not the fastest player on the Astros right now, and he has been learning center field as he was brought up as a shortstop. He comes in for defensive situations and will continue that role throughout the season. And then the biggest name of all, Kyle Tucker, who I've mentioned multiple times in this podcast. He's similar to when Alex Bregman was brought up. We have been waiting for his turn. He has 0 left to prove in the minor league level, but hasn't been given enough shot at the major league level. Look for all of that to change if we play ball this year. He is the main competition for Josh Reddick. So that is the Astros offensive players. I got just a couple starting pitchers I wanted to hit over real quick before we get out of here. So starting pitchers, Justin Verlander. He will once again lead the charge as the Astros ace. He has been downright devastating with the Astros as he has pitched over 200 innings and has a 2.55 ERA with the Astros. He will become a free agent following the 2021 season. Zack Greinke, he was dealt to the Astros in a trade deadline deal, and he went on to go 8-1 with a 3.02 ERA. Greinke is an excellent number 2, and he will help lead the Astros and soak up wins. Just like Verlander, though, he will become a free agent after 2021. And if those, I'm sure people have forgotten, but Lance McCullers, yes, it's felt like forever since the last time we have seen Lance on the mound, but he is reportedly back and stronger than ever. He has a great opportunity to shine and show he can be counted upon as a regular starting pitcher working as the number 3 this year. He has 1 more year of arbitration left, and he becomes a free agent after the 2021 season. So the Astros are faced with tough decisions on what they will need to do in extending these 3 pitchers. Justin Verlander is 38 years old. Zack Greinke is 35 years old. Lance McCullers is the youngest at, 25, 26, I think. But unfortunately, the number 4 and number 5 pitchers this year, Jose Urquidy and Josh James, potentially Brad Peacock, and maybe a couple other people throughout. Those guys are still unproven, and we don't know what they are yet. So we don't really have anyone to take over the role of Justin Verlander or Zack Greinke. We have Forrest Whitley, but he's been struggling. He hasn't been doing what most people thought he would. A lot of people thought he would have already been up by now, if not this year. It looks like he's probably another couple years away before potentially coming through. And the reason I suggested maybe trading Carlos Correa was because of just the questionable decisions we have after the starting pitchers with Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke. Now, I do think Lance McCullers will come back no problem, but Justin and Zach, those guys are old guys, and we really, really need them if we are going to continue to be World Series playoff capable teams. So now, moving on to the takeaways. The Astros are left in a very tough spot. Having their GM and manager fired / let go, it will be almost impossible to get the love back they once had going from a 100-loss team to World Series champs. They have only one way to do it. They must win another World Series, maybe 2 more World Series. I'm dying for an opportunity to play baseball this year just to show that we don't need to steal signs to win. As of now, we still don't have any plans of a possible return to baseball, so who knows when we'll get that chance, but I am confident that we will show that we don't have to steal signs. I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. If you did, make sure you smash that thumbs up button, subscribe, like, share this wherever you want it to be. Also, comment below if you want me to do this with another team. I'll do this for any team y'all want me to. If you want me to look at the Pirates, if you want me to look at the Milwaukee Bucks, if you want me to look at the Tennessee Titans, I will do in-depth options for any team. No problem. Just let me know, and I will do it. I'm going to keep next week's pod hidden because I'm not exactly sure if I do want to do that one yet. But just know next week we'll do podcast episode number 6. This has been Wade with Tongues Cat Gaming and Sports. Don't forget to Bagada above all. I'll see you next time.